A pleasant morning, everyone. So, today I will be going to explain the things that the instructor has given to us. So, first is what is marine environment? Second, what are the major sources of marine pollution and its impact, hazards to human, animals, and shipping industry? And lastly, explain MARPOL Convention, history, when it was adopted, entered into force, and its objectives, including all the regulations of MARPOL Annex 1 to 6. So let's get started. Marine habitats are habitats that support marine life. Marine life depends in some way on the salt water that is in the sea. A habitat is an ecological or environmental area inhabited by one or more living species. The major sources of marine pollution and its impact, hazards to human, animals, and shipping industry. So some of the major causes of marine pollution were the oil spills, littering, ocean mining, harmful to marine animals, a threat to human health, reduced chemical fertilizer, optionable for reusable bottles and utensils. Also, pollutants in the ocean make their way back to humans. Small organisms ingest toxins and are eaten by predators, many of which are seafood that we eventually eat. When the toxins in contaminated animals get deposited in human tissue, it can lead to long-term health conditions, cancer, and birth defects. So, plastic kills fish, birds, marine mammals, and sea turtles, destroy habitats, and even affects animals' mating rituals, which can have devastating consequences and can wipe out entire species. Lastly, potential shipping impacts include ship strikes, chronic underwater ship noise, oil spills, contamination from biofouling, and the introduction of invasive species. Lastly, explain MARPOL Convention history when it was adopted, entered into force, and its objective, including all the regulation of MARPOL Annex 1 to 6. So, the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or MARPOL, is the main international convention covering prevention of pollution to the marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. The MARPOL Convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The Protocol of 1978 was adopted in response to a state of tanker accidents in 1976 to 1977. As the 1973 MARPOL Convention had not yet entered into force, the 1978 MARPOL Protocol absorbed the parent convention. The combined instrument entered into force on October 2, 1983. In 1997, a protocol was adopted to amend the convention and a new Annex 6 was added which entered into force on May 19, 2005. MARPOL has been updated by amendments through the years. The convention includes regulations aimed at preventing and minimizing pollution from ships, both accidental pollution and that from routine operations, and currently includes 6 technical annexes. Special areas with strict controls on operational discharges are included in most annexes. So, Annex 1, regulations or the prevention of pollution by oil, or entered into force to October 1983, covers prevention of pollution by oil from operational measures as well as from accidental discharges. The 1992 amendments to Annex 1 made it mandatory for new oil tankers to have dual hulls and brought in a pace and schedule for existing tankers to fit double hulls, which was subsequently revised in 2001 and 2003. Let's move on to Annex 2, Regulation for the Control of Pollution by Noxious Liquid Substances in bulk or entered into force to October 1983. Details the discharge criteria and measures for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances carried in bulk. Some 250 substances were evaluated and included in the list appended to the convention. The discharge of the residues is allowed only to reception facilities until certain concentrations and conditions, or which vary with the category of substances, are complied with. In any case, no discharge of residues containing noxious substances is permitted within 12 miles of the nearest island. So, Annex 3. Annex 3 Prevention of Pollution by Harmful Substances Carried by Sea in Package Form or entered into force at July 1, 1992. Contains general requirements for the issuing of detailed standards on packing, marking, labeling, documentation, stowage, quantity limitations, exceptions, and notifications. For the purpose of this annex, harmful substances are those substances which are identified as marine pollutants in the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code or IMDG code or which meet the criteria in the appendix of Annex 3. So Annex 4, Annex 4 Prevention of Pollution by Sewage from Ships or entered into force 27 September 2003. Contains requirements to control pollution of the sea by sewage. The discharge of the sewage in the sea is prohibited, except when the ship has in operation an approved sewage treatment plant or when the ship is discharging comminuted and disinfected sewage using the approved system at a distance of more than 3 nautical miles from the nearest land. Sewage which is not comminuted or disinfected has to be discharged at a distance of more than 12 nautical miles from the nearest island. So Annex 5 Prevention of Pollution by Garbage from Ships are entered into force on December 31, 1988 that deals with different types of garbage and species the distances from land and the manner in which they may be disposed of. The most important feature of the annex is the complete ban imposed on the disposal in the sea of all forms of plastics. And lastly, Annex 6, Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships, or entered into force at May 19, 2005, that sets limits on sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide emissions from ships from ship exhaust and prohibits deliberate emissions of ozone-depleting substances. Designated emission control areas set more stringent standards for SOx, SOx, or the NOx, and particulate matter. A chapter adopted in 2011 covers mandatory technical and operational energy efficiency measures aimed at reducing green gas emissions from ships.